Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gents. Hope everyone is well. It is the 26th of April 2023, and this, in case anybody doesn't know, I'm trading the S&P 500. This is the futures market, and we're trading the 2000 tick chart, which just opposed to a time frame. It just means each individual one of these bars represent 2000 trades, just in case anybody doesn't know. But I think most people. So, who have we got in this morning? I keep saying this morning. This afternoon. Well, it's this afternoon where I am anyway. So, Indy, how you doing? Growl Daddy, what's up? Angela, good afternoon. Hope everyone is well. So, I had to give myself a little bit of an arse kicking last night. I took 2 trades yesterday, won twice, and ended up losing 2 trades. So, I was a bit frustrated, actually. So I need to be a little bit more focused on this. So from now on, if I manage to get 2 winning trades in a row, depending on what the time, I'm either going to finish for the day or I'll pop onto a demo. But if you get 2 trades in a row, it's just not worth doing anymore, I don't think, is it? So I was a bit frustrated that I did that. Now, in a lot of cases, when I have days like that, I tend to get frustrated and come back later and trade. And that's when I get myself into some difficulties, if you know what I mean. But I didn't last night. So I finally feel like I'm starting to get a little bit of control there, because sometimes when we get these losses or these frustrating days, we can just tend to, the emotions get the better of us. They play on your mind, and you can come back and tend to trade and blow accounts. And I've done it many times. So I didn't do it last night. I managed to just, grit my teeth and just work through those emotions. But what I tried to say to myself is, well, at the end of the day, I wasn't up and I wasn't down, so I didn't really lose any. So it wasn't as bad as, if I'd have had a day where I wouldn't have taken any trades, I wouldn't have batted an eyelid. So it is all part of the challenge, and it's all part of the road to being a trader. So for a first time in a long time, I'd managed to get a little bit of control yesterday, so I was quite pleased in the end last night. Once I got rid of that sort of urgent desire to go back and sort of correct where I went wrong. But sometimes, things just don't work out, and you just have to accept them. And if you can't accept them, then you're really never going to make it as a trader. So at some point, now I'm not saying if you're struggling, you're not going to make it as a trader, but you have to go through those emotions, and you have to sort of learn to deal with them and manage them. And the way I see it is, it just takes time. There's lots of things you can do, meditation, all sorts of different things to help yourself. But I think ultimately, sort of time is a major factor in my opinion. So, Player, good morning. Sam, how you doing? Lilith, good morning. SW Blaze, good morning, my friend. So it's been funny lately trading. I got to say, it's been there's a lot of movement, but it's just, I don't know. It's just sometimes it just doesn't seem like there's a setup. I mean, look at that. There wasn't really a setup there, and what happened? It rocketed down. Wasn't really a setup there. We were sort of moving up. We went up, we went up, we went up, and then all of a sudden rocketed down. Same there. Not really a setup. But it just came down. Same again. Nothing there. We're slowly working up, and then wham, down it came. So it is frustrating when you see these moves and there's no setups. But there were a few yesterday, but not a huge amount. I mean, if you look at these, it's sort of congested, isn't it? There's a second entry short there, but it's still quite congested. And after we've had this push, bit of a break and low, you just don't know, do you? There wasn't really a second entry there. It's testing my patience at the moment, I have to say, because it is frustrating, because it's almost like someone's just switched the trades off. Okay, right, from now on, after we press this button, there's going to be, 1/5 of the amount of trades. And it just seems that way. 12, 18 months ago, when I was trading, there was lots of opportunities. You could get 2 or 3 trades a day, no problem whatsoever. A buddy of mine who trades never took a trade last week, so something's definitely changed. The only thing I can put it down to is obviously the current market. the way things are. But there you go. So, Yulan, how you doing? So, market is due to open in about 10 seconds my time. So we've just had a little bit of it's hard to tell really. It's clearly ranging at the moment, isn't it? But let me get my open ready. It's going to be around about here somewhere, isn't it? I think. Let's say there, I think. There we go. So it will be there. Okay, so market is officially open. Load and official open. It is locked. Apply. Okay, so that's the official open on that candle there, and it dropped a little bit there. So let's remove that. So okay, we're off and rolling. Remove. Okay, let's see if I can't summon up some of this. Just my mic. Summon up some of this patience that I keep talking about. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty hard to read at the moment. It's we had one push up there, another push up. I thought this might sort of materialize into something, but then we had a sort of a push up. It was sort of really that was a first entry. It never triggered anyway, but look, didn't even crossed over and then wham straight down, and it came down quite quick. I was watching it because obviously anything pre-market's pretty slow, so it's just a lot of the time it's not making sense. And the trouble is when it doesn't play ball, it makes you more nervous getting into a trade, because even a good trade, even what you think is a pretty good trade makes you nervous because so okay, so you can recount this. Yeah, it's just hard. I so much of the day now, I'm not sure what's going on. It's just unpredictable. So let's see if I can't muster up some patience today and see how we get on. So, okay, possible hidden second entry long. I don't know. It's just a bit unpredictable. Looks like two clear legs. This one leg down, possibly another leg down. I don't know, but it's certainly ranging of some sort. But it's not sort of doing any type of pattern. I don't think there's any sort of It's possible. It's a bit early to tell, I think, at the moment. The trouble is, if you draw something like that and it's not right, you'd be looking to go long there, wouldn't you? But it may come down. So I tend to focus on the smaller term, the shorter term stuff. Okay, so that looks like a bit of a channel with a break. Okay, little channel there. Could be a break. Let's see if this pushes below. I don't think I want to get involved at the moment because it's just a little bit unpredictable. Because Fed is not going to help First Republic. But I did hear something about another bank. I know the cryptos have pumped this morning. I've got some Cardano and Solana and some HBAR. They're all going up around about 9% this morning, so I was quite pleased about that. I'm assuming a lot of that's down to another bank. I think the thing is, in my opinion, the banking system is the biggest con known to man. Just taking, UK banks. We've got Barclays Bank in the UK, one of the big banks in the UK. And people put billions and billions of their money into these banks. And what do they get for it? It's about 1.25%, which is about 25% of inflation. So what you're doing, you're actually losing. You get nothing for it. Absolutely nothing. And what do? They invest it. They make a shed load of money out of it. They have massive big wages, huge bonuses, lovely fancy offices, nice cars and that, and we get absolutely nothing for it. So I've lost faith in banks anyway. I moved. Okay, there's a failure there. Trouble is, there's also a second entry long. I Don't like the fact that this is pushed up. There is a failure which triggered. There could be a double trap here, so I'm staying out of this. It's a bit barbed wiry. It could go up, it could go down. I think, to be honest with you, probably 50-50. We got a new high. Try go once, try go twice, failed, triggered. There's also a second entry long, which is pushed up, so that could get stopped out, or that could get... I got no idea where it's going up or down. This is telling me nothing really. We've had this little channel, so I'd think maybe it's slightly more likely to go up. But it's 50-50 maybe, I got no idea. But yeah, I've lost faith in banks. I've got 2 online banks now. I use Revolut. And the thing I like about Revolut is any type of foreign exchange, there's no fees. I also buy some of my cryptos on it as well, because I like the fact that I can just cash them in a split second and spend them. I usually use things like Bybit. The trouble is, if you use Bybit and you want to take any profits, okay, so that failure did work. It stopped out there, but is it going to continue down and what? Okay, so if you took that failure, you'd be a bit nerve-wracking there. I wouldn't be shocked if that goes out and takes that. All it seems to do, this market at the moment, is just look for stops. It is frustrating, I've got to say. No, I usually use Bybit. The trouble is, if you want to take any cash out from Bybit, you've got to transfer it into a wallet, then transfer it into your bank. It's a bit of a pain. And for our main banking, we use Monzo. You tend to get lots more offers. I get 1% on everything we spend, just stuff like that, which you don't get in the banks. There's lots of different savings things you can do, so it rounds, you know, your spends up to the nearest pound, and it puts it in a separate account. There's lots of little things, but the mainstream banks now, I've just given up. Okay, so this is just really choppy. This is okay. So there was a failure there which triggered. There was also a second entry long there which triggered and then got stopped out. All it seems to be doing is going up, taking out a short stop, taking out a long stop. It's frustrating at the minute. I've got to say, I don't enjoy trading as much as I did lately. It's just, I find it frustrating. Going back 18 months, it used to be a lot more straightforward. Setups were easier. They were straightforward. They were plain and simple. They worked. But I suppose at the moment, if I'm honest, and I actually take a bigger look, it's going sideways, so it's congested anyway. So taking trades like failures and second entry longs when it's going sideways is risk anyway. So but yeah, cryptos. I don't know if anybody's got cryptos, but they were up nice this morning. Bitcoin's just floating under $30,000. First thing this morning, it was under $27,500, so that's gone up about 9% today. So that's good. I've also got some Cardano, that's up 9%. I've got some Solana, that's up 8.5%. So, and I think a lot of that is to do with banking. That's what happened last time. I mean, a lot of people are saying we're at the starts of a bull market anyway, so I don't know how true that is or not, but I've got some H-bar, that's up 6%, so things seem to be. The Apple Card Bank is now offering $4. Is it really? The Apple Card Bank. I'm not sure if that's available in the UK, so I don't know. I know there's a bunch of them over here. We've got things like Monzo, there's Starling Bank, there's Revolut. I think there's typically about 5 which I see advertised, but they're much better than the sort of normal banks we have over here. You know, Barclays and Lloyds and NatWest and all those type of banks. I mean, if I just click on my Revolut now, it's so easy. It takes 5 minutes to open an account. I can look at my account. I can look at my cards. You know, I can freeze a card, open a cards. I can buy stocks. I've got vaults where I can automatically get money put in, savings. You know, if you want to save for Christmas, you can set up a separate vault and say I want X amount taken out every month, and it keeps it separate. And it's just so much quicker. You get lots of deals. You get deals on hotels, different. I mean, my Revolut card's a metal one, so they just seem to last forever, and I get 1% in everything I buy. So just the normal banks, they just, I think they've lost touch a little bit with people. I mean, it wasn't long ago I was paying about £15 a month for an account. So, and what with crypto? Well, I mean, I think crypto's the future. Everything's going to be digital money. You know, in the not so distant future, there's not going to be paper cash around anymore. It is a pain. Costs a lot to print, costs a lot to design, obviously forging it, moving it around, managing it. Apple uses Goldman Sachs. Does it? I'll have to look into that. Because I know there is a big investment bank which have a card. I'm not sure whether it's something like Starling. I'll have to look into it, actually, but the trouble is they're giving lots of good deals away, which is just walking all over the mainstream banks. And obviously, you know, what with stocks and cryptos and all the other things, I suppose it goes to say why lots of banks are starting to get in trouble. So, yeah. But I think crypto's the future. I mean, I've got a pension which I put into. If I could put it into something like Bitcoin or Ethereum, I would, but it's not available at the moment to do that. You can't put pensions into cryptos, I suppose, because of the volatility. But I think you should be able to put a percentage of it. But we can't do that at the moment. See, I'd rather put money into things like Bitcoin, or at least a portion of it, because you're going to make a lot more money, you know, over the years. If you were saving for a pension for 20 years and you stuck $1,000 in something like Bitcoin, you'd have a nice little pension in 10 years' time. I was paying £15 a month for Barclays up until about 3 years ago. And then I stopped it. It was for, I don't know, there was about 3 of them. I think it was, I don't know, it was $5.99 or £5 for one of them, £12 for another, and £15 for another one. But banks started charging at some point, depending on what sort of, you would get like an overdraft, you would get 0% on an overdraft, things like that. But you might get, but I mean, even things like with my Revolut account now, because I got the metal one. If I get, you know, earn anything in dollars, I don't pay no interest. Sorry, I don't pay no commissions, which saves money. And also holiday insurance as well. I get free holiday insurance. I get free lounge. You know, you and 2 other guests go into a lounge at the airport. So they have lots of good deals on them, the banks. But Apple Card, let's have a look at that. Apple Card. Can't trade at the moment anyway. I might as well do something. There we go. Apple Card UK. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's actually Apple, isn't it? Oh, it is actually Apple. Ah, I gotcha. I see. Interesting. Simplicity of Apple and a credit card. Oh, I'll have to have a look at that. I mean, I did have no fees. I'll have to have a look at that. I did have some, you know, Crypto.com, Kronos, or it used to be called CRO coin, it's Kronos or something. I locked about £300 worth up for 6 months, and I got a Ruby Steel card, and I got 2% cash back on everything I bought. So I ended up paying my mortgage through it. I'd pay all my bills for it, food, and I'd make myself about £50 a month. So there are some good deals around. Okay, so we're going a little bit sideways here. So are we going to continue down, or are we going to bounce back into this range? I've got no idea. Okay, there is a second entry there. Do I buy that? Because we're clearly going sideways.
Order submitted.
Most breakouts fail. Let's see how it finishes. It's not a massive risk. Okay.
Order anyway. Cancelled.
Well, it's clearly going. Let's move that up a fraction. Okay. Bounce, bounce, bounce. A couple of bodies bounce. So it's clearly going sideways. No argument there. Most breakouts fail. Unfortunately. Let's put that about there, right? Unfortunately, there's no... If that was a nice bullish bar, then it may be worth a couple of points. But depending on what the market's doing at the moment, I'm starting to sort of aim for around about the 2 points at the moment. Especially when it's like this. You know, once market starts to move a little bit, then I might go, you know, I'm just sort of going to play it by ear. Okay, just like I thought. Unfortunately, no bar there. Trouble is, the way I see it, if that had been a bullish bar, lots of times it'll tick above, stop it out, and then come back in. And it seems like these traps are where the setups are. So sometimes I don't know whether you're better off taking a NAF signal bar because, you know what I mean, and ride that back in because most breakouts fail. All right, the fact that it's a doji hasn't stopped it from pushing back in. If that had been a bullish bar, you got more chance of getting trapped in that and stopped out than you have taking a bit of a, you know, maybe a risk. It is frustrating. Got to say, so many places where these setups are, there's traps. It's just all it seems to be nowadays, traps and traps. I mean, you've got to take something that looks that damn good. I mean, this little channel up here, yeah, second entry long, triggered, stopped out, lower high, or failure, triggered, stopped out. So many traps. It's frustrating to trade sometimes and just sat here through it all. And you're thinking, who the hell's making money? Took some heat, have you? So you could call that a failure, couldn't you? Trouble is, look at it. It's just all over the shop and it pushes up nicely, then comes down, then it goes a bit sideways. You think the little channel break new high didn't do that. Just wondering if there's any type of a channel. I don't think there is. No. Mess. It is. It's having the patience to sit through this. Do you know something? I'm going to start monitoring. Up until a point yesterday, I took 2 trades and I was okay. Now, I took a trade, a lower high, and to be honest with you, 2 other streamers took the same trade and lost. So, what did I do then? I got a little bit impatient, jumped straight back in, market pulled up. I took a long and got stopped out straight away. So I lost 1 trade, fair enough, I think was a good trade, but the next one, it was just stupidity. Now, I'm just wondering whether I should cut down the amount of time I trade. But I think a lot of people don't trade 3 hours like I do. So what I'm going to start doing is monitoring how I feel when I get to the 2-hour mark. And if I'm just trying to be a little bit of aware, if I find that I'm maybe trying to squeeze trades, then I might start to reduce my time down maybe to 2 hours or 2.5 hours. But don't worry, Mac will mark up the chart later with no losses per trade. Okay, so yeah, looks like 1 leg, 2 leg. It's so just unpredictable. Came back down, bounced in, didn't get halfway, came back out again. It's just unpredictable. It just does make you wonder where the hell people are taking trades. Somebody's taking trades, otherwise the market wouldn't move. Hey Nick, how you doing, bud? How are you? Take anything yesterday or not? Measured move. You're what? Measured move. You were Bazanis. Is that a spelling mistake, mate? I think I know a lot of the guys are from US, and sometimes we have slightly different wavelength, I think, sometimes. It is frustrating trading lately, I've got to say. I hope it does get back to how it yeah, it does get nothing for you. No. Trouble is, it's okay having the skills to trade, but if you get no bloody setups, how are you going to make money? No, my friends and I have watched probably 300 max videos. How many losers? Yeah, personally, I've got no problem with showing my losers because the way I've seen it, if I've marked losers when I posted my charts, I tend to not post them as much, but I used to post them every day. But I don't mind showing me losers because then you find out why they lost and why they went wrong. So I'd say if you're still relatively new, I'd post your charts. I would, and just post them, win or loss, and just get feedback. And that's how I started to progress. Okay, so there's a failure there, but right in the middle of here, you can't trade that. I would understand how you feel. I didn't understand it either. Yeah. I hope markets do sort of improve a bit. I don't even know if you change time frames. Would that help? If I remember going back about maybe 8, 10, 12 months. Markets, I think, were volatile. I can't remember. Bars were big. And I think Matt mentioned going up to the 3,000. Does anybody remember that? I remember going up to the 3,000 tick chart for a while. Matt mentioned it. He said the bars were big. He said what you could do is go up to a 3,000, and I did. Make high probability areas of interest, not his personal trades. Yeah. Trouble is, when you've been experienced as much as Mac, he did tell me, though, he only takes a couple of trades a day. He doesn't take many. So obviously he's been doing it 25 years. Now, there is the odd setup. And obviously when you spent over 25 years looking at these markets, you're going to be very, very, you're going to know what's going on. You're not going to get caught out often, are you? If you're a 25-year veteran trader. And not only that, even people like Currency, you're trading different currency pairs all the time. He's trading the same thing day in, day out on the same chart. So you are going to get good at it. Just with time, there are certain patterns that you notice that work a certain way. And with only scalping a point, you can scalp a point in this lot, can't you, really? I mean, even that one, if you took the lower high, if I took that, I'd expect it to be down here somewhere, but you'd have got a point out of it, so it'd have been a good trade for him, and that would have been it. That one, the failure. He took that one, he'd have got a point out of that. It might come down and stop me out. So, I mean, who knows? It may be the case of dropping down. I tend to, the last couple of days, I tend to go around about the 2 points, something like that, because, it's just, it seems to be a bit safer. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, 4 years ago. Yeah. I think he's got well over 2,000 videos now, isn't he? So yeah, he's clearly experienced, and it goes without saying, you spend a lot of time sat with these charts, and you're going to get very good at trading them. Without a doubt, he's spending 5 days a week for the last 27 years, whatever it is. You're going to get pretty good at reading them. You're not going to get trapped. You're going to recognise areas. You are going to lose the odd trade, but that's just purely down to just sort of lack of focus, maybe. Rushing a little bit or something, Yeah, I don't watch it. Well, in fact, I probably do watch every day, but I tend to flick through the trades. And all I'm really doing is comparing my trades to his, if I have any, or if there was an area where I got trapped, or I thought a lot of traders might get trapped, just to see if he mentions them. So, but yeah, he obviously puts lots of trades, but you know, I could say, okay, so there you go, there's a failure, and that worked. And, you know, you might take that, but at the moment it's up and down, so it's just hard to say. You know, you might say, okay, so there's a new low there, first entry, there's a failure, made 2 points. I wouldn't take that. It's a dangerous place to take it. The fact that it made the 2 points doesn't mean it's a good trade, but it's still a failure. So there are going to be lots of times where you'd mark something. You know, there we go. So there's a failure there. New high, try go once, try twice, there's a failure. Okay, it's not below the EMA. It could come down, but it made 2 points. So it's a failure. It's a failure that worked, finished on its lows. You know, so it's easy after the fact to spot trades. I can spot them a mile away because I can tell you, you'll just know if they work. You can't be what's the word I'm looking for? You know, you can't sit on the sidelines and you know the answers. So it's you know, it's like I can't think of the words I'm looking for, but. Money Max, well appreciated. He's one of your favourites, isn't he, Nick? Money Max. I don't know. Yeah. Can you take him serious, Money Max? Panda guy. I don't know. You know, the thing that makes me laugh about that, I think he's a nice guy. The thing that makes me laugh about the Panda guy is he gets knocked around something crazy with his trades, and then he'll make a really, really lucky trade, and he'll put the panda on, going easy money, easy peasy. I'm thinking you got there by the skin of your teeth. You know what I mean? It was down to pure luck. But he still puts his panda on, chewing his bamboo, and goes easy money, easy peasy. It wasn't. It was pure luck. Let's have a look at this. This probably could do with coming down a bit, couldn't it? Let's have a look. Something like that. Look at this. God, who's trading in here? Who the hell's trading? What is it? It's only 6 points from top to bottom. Let's have a look. I don't think I've watched him. I don't know. I'll have to have a look. Yeah, I mean, personally, I think really the starting place is 2 points myself. I think you need to be as close to 1-to-1 as you can, unless you're very experienced and you might have, let's say, for instance, you can afford to trade 5 contracts. Sorry, you trade 4 for, I don't know, 1.5, 2 points, and then you know, run the rest. But I personally like to try and get somewhere around the 1-to-1, because at least that way, if you lose a trade, you've just got to win 1 trade to get it back. So at the moment, what's the ATR? So let's say, for instance, the average bar, let's say I put a point above it and point below it and lost 3 points. If I was scalping, I'd have to win the next 3 trades just to get break even. But taking away commissions, I'd still be in the red. So 1 trade, I've then got to do 3 more just to get break even. But then I'm still in the red minus the fee. So it's too hard for me, that is. I can't do that. I can't lose a trade and then think, now, until I'm in the green, I've now got to win the next 4 trades, and I'll only be in the green by about $50 or whatever. I can't do that. And you don't have to do that now, to be honest with you. Okay, so once, twice, 3 times. I like that. Damn it. That to me is like a triple test. Oh, look at that. It went up without me. I'd have taken that. And it was a second entry long. Once, twice, 3 times. Beautiful bar. Push down here. Rejected. I wasn't focusing what I was doing there. I like that one. I'd have happily just taken a couple of points off that, which would have been there. That would have been fine. And that would have done me okay. So there's a failure there. Trouble is, I don't want to get into a trade in the middle there. I like that. push down, push down, push down. Look at that. Bullish bars don't look any better than that. It's clearly sat nicely on there. Push strongly below. If that push below, down here, bearish, touch the bottom, there's obviously be buy orders below here because it then turned around and hightailed straight back up and finished on its high. So to me, that's a good place to take a trade. I mean, you might say, well, there's a bit of a short-term trend channel there. Well, yeah, there is, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to break and make a new low. There's a little channel here, but it didn't break and make a new low. Another trapped area. Is it going to push to the top? I'd expect it to, because it's come from the top to the bottom, to the top, to the bottom. Trouble is here, it had a little detour first. So, I'm just not getting involved in here. Right at the very bottoms or the tops, maybe. It's a failure. I'd expect it to go to the top and eat through the stops on there, but I don't like the way it's finished, so I missed. Always feel fine when you pop the chart open. What's it's not a bad trader, actually. Who's the guy with the glasses and the hoodie? He's not a bad trader. He's okay, actually. When I saw the glasses and the hoodie, I thought he's going to be some sort of a, I don't know, some sort of rapping, what's it? Rapping trip. But he's okay, actually. He took that same trade that I took yesterday, the lower high, and got trapped. But he seems to be quite patient. And he's got, yeah, he seems to be doing okay. So he's all right. But yeah, the panda guy, he has way more red days than he has green days. But he just seems to it doesn't, for me, all his trades are like this. It's so hard to read there. You get a downtrend, he's trading down. You get an uptrend, he's trading up. I never see him do this and zoom out to the bigger picture. So he's just sort of seems to pick up a style of his own. But he's a nice guy, and it's a shame really because he's obviously picked up some bad habits, and we've all been there. Traps around there, see? So we got try to go once. There's a failure there, which triggered and stopped out. Crap bar anyway. Second entry short there, which is triggered and more likely stopped out. So it does seem so much of the it's like you've got a load of good traders and they're all in the room going, right, where are we going to take them out? Where's this stop? Okay, there'll be some stops there. Let's push it up. It just seems like it's that. Moo, yeah, he's all right actually. He's okay. He trades okay. He trades okay. He seems to have quite a bit of patience. I mean, he has losses like the rest of us, but he seems to be okay. Okay, so one leg, two legs. I'd expect to get to the top. Now, we've come from the top to the bottom. Now, we did come back. We went up 2/3 of the way and came back, but we didn't come back as low, and then we pushed to the top, so we come straight back down there. So I'm guessing we're going to have one push up, a little bit of a pullback, and then another push up. So I'd expect to get up here, but unfortunately, there's no real setups. That I don't think was a bad trade. You might have said, well, there's a bit of a short-term trend channel there, but it doesn't seem to stop it. It just pushed back up. Same there. There's a bit of a short-term trend channel there. So in a lot of cases, these trend channels don't mean a great deal. Sometimes, when we're in a range, especially these tight ranges. So now, is this going to eat all the stops? It is frustrating. So you may have took the lower high there. Is that going to come back, take you out? I think that one's still safe if you're in there. I wouldn't expect it to come down. It may do what that one did and come back It went up to the same place. It pushed up, came back first, not as low, and then 2 legs up to the highs. So I'd expect something like that there. Another push up now. There's no real setup there, and even if you did wait to get it to here, it's massive congestion, so it's just too risky. I've started to come to the conclusion, I've just got to focus on trying to get one trade a day. I definitely find it harder now to build an account than I did the year ago. 1-to-1 risk reward, time frames, trade. Yeah. My 1-to-1 is, I like 1-to-1, I do. I just think you got way more chance of making money. And not just that, if you're still scalping at points, it's so hard, especially if you're only trading an account, a contract or two, because you can't afford to do a runner. And the trouble is, if all you can ever do is scalp 1 point, you're never going to make money. I mean, Mac makes his money from his runners. Okay, it did what I thought. I expected to get to the tops now, so we had a push off, a little bit of a pullback, and same there, we had a push off, a little bit of a pullback before we hit the highs. So I expect to hit the highs. So I wish I'd have taken that trade now, because I'd have been happy just getting a couple of points. Once it pushed up there, I'd have dropped it around the midline, and I'd have got two and a bit points. And technically, I'd have done what I needed to. But what I can't be doing is winning 2 trades like I did yesterday, carrying on and losing them again, because that was just pure stupidity. After the first loss, what I should have done there is either packed in or gone onto a demo, because at least I'd have been $200 up. But that idiot in me. To be honest with you, though, the trade did look good, and a few others took it. Now, if it had gone down and made myself 4 or 5 points, I'd have been, pleased as punch. But even if another setup comes up, I think when I get to 2 winning trades, I think that's the time to pack in, because naturally, your patience as you progress through the hour and a half, 2 hours, your patience or your ability to judge isn't going to be as good, I don't think, especially if you've done 2 winning. If you've done 2 winning trades, you're feeling pretty chuffed with yourself anyway, and maybe a bit elated, which also could affect how you're trading. Uh, 1.60. Yeah, I'm happy with that. What I tend to do is, if it gets to 3.5, 4 points, I'll tend to drop my stop in as high as I can, and if it continues higher, then I'll slowly drag my stop. But I tend to think around about the 3 is 1-to-1. And it's not far off there. It's probably a bit under 3, but at least that way, 1-to-1, and that covers your commissions. What have I got this set at? So 12, 13, 16 is 4 points. So it's 4 points and a tick. I figure if I can get 4 points, great, and the tick will cover the commissions. And I know Taylor takes 4 points, and it kind of works so a nice trade usually tends to go 4 points. But obviously, if you've only got 6 points from the top to the bottom and you're taking your trade at a point, you've only got 3 points before the top. So you've obviously got to adjust it accordingly to a degree. I didn't expect that to come down. Not that quick. So when we had that push up, I'm thinking absolutely it's going to hit the highs every time it's come up. Twice there, once there, once there. But then look, wham, straight down. Yeah, maybe need to look at order flow. Lots of people have mentioned to me. I don't fully understand. I know what it is. It's still like the order book of trades sat there. I don't know if I trade crypto and I put a limit order in or something. It's in the order book, isn't it? Is that going to take that stop up? I'd say absolutely 100%. It's got to, isn't it? Why push this down? If you took that trade and you're waiting for the highs, you're still in this trade. Why would shorts push that down and not drop it past there? So you're still safe at the moment if you took that trade. as this, you may have, been a bit unsure around here, and then we had that push up. You're thinking, yep, let's take me profits, a few ticks from the top, and then straight down. Overnight lows. It's so hard to say at the moment. It's another crappy day so far. So yesterday didn't look that bad. We had sort of 1 and 2, sort of a few pushes down, but I found yesterday a bit frustrating. Having said that, if you take a trade here and you win 3 points, all this lot, you'll happily let it go by. But when you're actively looking to make something for that day, you're focusing a lot more on looking for something, and it does take it out of you. It's hard work. But then if you took something in, you're all done and dusted, then the day becomes a lot easier. Yeah, we have. It is. Conditions are hard to trade. There's no argument there. I can clearly notice a difference. Trading used to be so much easier, and I'm only going back a year, 18 months. It used to be so much easier. We get a nice trend down, say, and we get 1, 2. Sometimes I remember getting 2 or 3 second entries within the space of 20 minutes. It doesn't seem that long ago. Okay, so is this a failed breakout? We've got a second entry long there. So it's tempting.
Order submitted.
I'm going to take it. It's got to be in the top third. I'd say it's in the top third.
Order filled.
We're in the trade. I'm not going to get greedy. Let's just see if we can take 95, 97. Let's see if we can get a couple of points. 2 points. I'm happy to get 2 points.
Target filled.
Spot on. Okay. I'm technically done for the day. Okay, with the second entry, it's every time it's got to here, it's respected that line. We had a second entry, we had a little short-term trend, so we had a break new low, yeah? It sat right on top of here. So as far as I'm concerned, it's worth a couple of points. And it was a second entry long, and it was in the top third, so job done. I'm quite glad I got that out of the way, actually, because I can sort of relax a bit now. I've got my trade. Now, a lot of the time, it's only going up so far and going sideways. So I did mention I'm trying to just focus on getting a couple of points for now. If I can get 2 points a day on one account, that's $1,000 a week. That's $4,000 a month on average. 10 accounts, $40,000. Now, even if shit hit the fan and you had a crappy day and you earned half of that, it's still fantastic. So it is what it is. So 2 points sorted. Second entry long. Failed breakout. It's not going up or down. It's clearly going sideways. So 2 points is worth it. So plus 2 points sorted. Happy days. Job done. What am I doing here? So that'll do. Oh, you got that on a sim. Yeah, good on you, mate. I think that was okay. Now, yeah, a lot of the times, that was another good trade, but it only really went so far. Now, that went up and pushed down. Now, okay, so it did. But it made probably 2.5 points, something like that. I ain't messing around at the moment. I ain't trying to take a bit more. What did it make? Oh, yeah, it went up to... Yeah, you'd have got 2.5 points on it. I got 2 points, so I'm happy. Now, it might not have come down here. It might have bounced off here and gone to the top. But just because it comes back down doesn't mean it was a bad trade. 2 3/4 points. I got 2 points. I'm happy. That's another $200 times... I didn't check. Times 5. Right? Times 5. Oh, one of them's passed. Yeah, okay. $200 times 5. That's technically $1,000 gone into my account. So If that was on 5 live accounts, that'd be $1,000, one poxy 2-point trade. I thought that was okay. The only thing I would say that one might be a little bit risky is because we have got a little bit of a channel going down there. Having said that, we've bounced there, and we've bounced there. So Matt will call that a triple test. And it's right at the bottom. And I tend to like trades more when they push out and then push in, because we tend to wait to take a buy order there. A lot of, maybe other traders will buy, and I know this because I've traded currency, and you don't necessarily wait for it to come down to a certain area, then you buy. So, if I was trading currency, I might have something like that, and I'd have the little bottom section would be my buy, there my stop, and I'd wait for the market to come down, pick up my order, and then slowly start working up, hopefully. But obviously we wait for it to break out and then come back so far, whereas a lot of traders will have an order maybe a few ticks below there. So that went down, shorts took the profit, and then it pushed up strongly and finished on its high. There's a lot of buy orders there. It's common sense, isn't it? So what happened? It went up. Now, it hasn't been going up as high as you would have thought, but you'd have got 2-3 points comfortably. But I do like it when it pushes out and then pushes back. And that was a second entry. And I like the fact that it sat on there, and it sat on there, and it sat on there. And it was another couple of ticks, and that'd be on its high. But it was in the top third, so I thought that was worth 2 points. And it did. It pushed up enough. So, job done. There we go. Flushing now, yeah. I mean, at some point it breaks out of it, don't you? But generally, the rule of thumb is most breakouts fail. That one failed. That one failed. So, sometimes they don't. I saw 5 the other day failed and worked, and the 6th one, I didn't take it, but the 6th one didn't. So, sometimes it doesn't work, but it wasn't a massive risk. What was it? 3, 4, 5. So, is that 1.75? So it's 2.25 point risk from tick above, tick below, which is not a huge risk, to be fair, in the grand scheme of things. ATR's low started up here. It was about 3.4 when it started. So, yeah. Do I say it was risk? 0.5, 0.75, 2.25 points risk, and I got a. Is that right? Yeah. In fact, I took it right on the top. I didn't take it a tick above, so 1.5 points, 1.75. So it was a 2-point risk, because what I started in, I used to put it 1 tick above, but what I tend to do now is hold it on there and let it tick above and then drop it on there. So it was a 2.25 point risk, 2.25 risk with a 2-point profit. So it's just under 1-to-1. So that's good enough. Was that a good trade or a bit lucky? I don't think it was lucky. It was a second entry. We know the rules. Most breakouts fail, yeah? That breakout failed. That wasn't any worse than that. In fact, that was even slightly more bullish than that. And we were in an uptrend. But, there's an element of luck in every you could have said that one was lucky. You know what I mean? But, it is what it is. You could have said a short there that was lucky, a short there that was lucky, but we had this little short-term trend. We had a break and a new low, yeah? And we know most breakouts fail, okay? And a lot of people, including Mac, will take longs at the bottom and shorts at, like Mac says. Ranges are easy. You buy the bottoms and sell the top, and that was a second entry long. And it also fell breakout. So, it is what it is. We can go on all day whether it was lucky or not. It got me 2 points. I took what I call a good trade yesterday, and it won against me. So so there we go. See, we didn't know it was coming out here. You know what I mean? We didn't know that. You never quite know, really. Okay, nice little channel there. Okay, we've broken the overnight lows. I still don't think there's any type of channel there. Let's have a look. Not really. Maybe. A little bit of a spike and channel, possibly. It's hard to say, really. We'll see. So it was a second entry, breakout, it failed, it went back in. Now, sometimes it, goes up higher, sometimes it doesn't. It's hard to say. There's certain, sometimes you get a little bit of bad luck, sometimes you get a little bit of luck. It depends. Luck would have been if it shot right up at the top and you got your order here. Bad luck would have been if it triggered and came down, But, yeah, we'll see. Okay, so that's definitely a channel. No arguments. Trouble is, in someone else's chart, that one there could look much better. Max says in the top third, so if you can divide that in third, in fact, it's probably even slightly over the top third. So 1, 2, a couple of ticks in it, have been a different story. Hoping from the bottom channel to become resistance for the next support. 5 for the right 8. That's the fail for the short. Late 8. Yeah, I mean, if there's a second entry short here and it's a good one, I'd 100% go short. Clearly a channel. See, these can be quite accurate. I mean, these work a lot of the time. If you get a nice second entry there, they just don't fail. But a lot of the time now, and that's what I mean by they're just getting harder and harder. A nice second entry off there, it seems few and far between. But okay, so there's a first push up and there's a break. Now, if we can get a push up again, but a lot of the time it just comes tumbling down. You don't get an opportunity. So I've gone from this top one to the next one. So as far as I'm concerned, it hasn't broken out of here. Yeah, same again. So really, there's no real setup there. It's congested, isn't it? What I prefer is one leg, 2 legs, push above, nice big and bearish. I'll take them all day long, and I'll happily take them, even if they fail, because I know they're a good setup. But so many times now we'll have this. Mind you, technically I haven't really had a break, actually, so... but you just can't take that. It's nowhere near that. You don't know whether it's going to continue down or push up. You're in the lap of the gods there, really. So let's just see if we can. Must be, so let's go from the top here, see if that helps, because that doesn't look too bad. So let's bring that down to there, and let's take him up there. Okay, so you could say a little bit of a spike in channel, possibly. It's clearly, I mean, there's no argument, it's clearly coming down, isn't it? Yeah. But obviously then, and it's funny then it goes sideways then, until it hits the top, and then as it comes down. So trouble is, you can adjust these so many different ways, can't you? And I would say if you ask people like Marco, he won't even have a downtrend on his chart. It'll just be like this. Because all we've had is a couple of pushes down, a couple of pushes up, and then some sideways. Now, before, forget that section there, clearly just ranging, aren't we? No one would have known we'd have been breaking down. Okay, let's see if something comes up here. So, You take it from the first two swings, which we clearly have. Didn't break there. Now we're broken, so we can get a couple of pushes up. I mean, there's nowhere I can adjust that to fit that outside the line to say that's a break. In fact, talking about Marco, he actually posted one of his charts, one of his trades. I don't know if anybody noticed it. It was a few weeks ago now. He trades with Apex. He has 10 accounts, and he trades one trade a day he trades 3 contracts, and I think he goes for 6 ticks, which get him just over $200 a day. That's all he does, one trade. $200 times 10 is $2,000 a day. 10,000, that's $40,000 a month. Now, let's say, if that's only the equivalent of 10, what's that, 10, 20 trades a month. Now, let's say he loses, I don't know, 1 in 10, maybe that, 2 in 10. You're still $30,000 a month, isn't it? And that's one account. If you let that account grow and you just take a bit out, let's say you're taking 200 a day per account. That's $1,000 a week. $4,000 a month. It's actually a bit over that. He makes $4,000 a month. If you withdraw $2,000 a month from each account, you've got a fantastic living. Plus that account is growing by $2,000 a month. In 10 months, you can have $20,000, and you can up your contract size. Okay, so there's a break new low. Same again. Doesn't even get close to the EMA, which is a bit frustrating. That's clearly a break. I don't know, so many times these used to make it. As soon as they break, they go 1, 2, and I'd say 7 times out of 10, you get a nice setup there. You really do now. And if you do, it's a dodgy one. And if you take a dodgy one that's not that clear, a lot of the times it'll go up and down with slightly, like I've had a couple of them. One I stayed in and got out for 2 points, but the one I took a day before that went up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and I got out, I think, minus a tick, and it ended up going down. So good setups seem to come down quick because it's obviously a clear second entry short, nice and bearish, and loads jump in there, and obviously that fuels the fire anyway. But when you get these second entries and the bar isn't that fantastic and it's a bit dodgy looking, they'll tend to, sort of go like that sideways but slightly down, and it's just pain and punishment. So okay, so we touch there. You go from the first 2 swings. Everything else fitted nice. It's arguable whether you have that one out, but I don't think it really matters. Even if you keep that in, touch is fine. That's clearly a break, and then we've had a push down. We made a new low, so. But at the moment, it's obviously erring on the side of bearish. It's sort of clearly coming down, isn't it? With the exception of a little bit of sideways there. Let's see if we got anything from Mac. Not yet. Oh, another one. Oh, I'll tell you what, I've had 1, 2. I've just had another Flowbots for Replicanto update. 1, 2. That's the 3rd one this month. That's what you call service. I've never had one from Apex. That just goes to show straight away. Fixing bugs, apparently. See, a lot of cases it'll give you a second entry and come down again, but what I tend to do, and I did it the other day, I look for a second entry short, wait for it to trigger some in the trade, and then I took a failure then above here. It went a bit sideways. I got out plus 1 point and it ended up going up in the end. So I've got to say, some trades that I do take that I get stuck in work in the end. So I think what I need to do is keep my confidence, and if I take a trade, just let it run. I think more often than not, a trade that goes sideways will win more than lose. So I think I'm still better off just letting it run, I think. I mean, we all get in trades that are a little bit dicey, start going sideways, and you start to think, do I come out? And the longer you stay in them, the more chance you got of coming out for a loss. And I would say probably 70% of the time, maybe a bit more, they end up working out anyway. So let's just try this again. Let's give it a target, see if it does come up. I'm not sure whether it is. It may turn into it later on, but I'll put that fail breakout because someone's going to say, "Well, the LG take a long right in the middle of the downtrend." Obviously, at the time we didn't know that it was just a fail breakout. Just saves getting asked the question later because you're going to get 3 people saying, "Why did you take a long there right in the middle of a downtrend?" Righty tighty. What are you saying about me? I see my name flash up there on a second entry's last would say, "Well, what I missed?" Clear retest would be cool. Twin to the bottom, shaped out. Yeah, I did wonder actually. It's part of the reason why I drew that. In fact, I'll tell you what, just out of curiosity, let's just draw that. I don't know whether it will be or not, just to see if it does push up. I mean, 1 leg back here, 2 legs would make sense. I was frustrated about that trader loss yesterday. There was a few people lost that. It pushed up, so it went down. We had this lower high, and then it pushed down below the EMA, pulled back up, and ended up beautiful and bearish. Really lovely. And when I looked at that Moo guy, I thought, I bet he takes it, and he did. Looked like a good trade to me. Not many trades that I think that's a nice looking trade fail. And it just goes to show how accurate good trades are. Hmm. Okay, excuse me just for 2 minutes, guys. I'm just going to make myself a quick cup of coffee. A few minutes, and I will be back. I'll be back. Just going to put my fancy little back in 5 minutes thingamajiggy. There we go. 2 minutes, I'll be back. Okay, I am back. Officially back. What we got going on here? Let's have a look. Okay, there is a failure there, but risky. Actually, there's the failure which is triggered, so I'm not getting involved. We're actually retesting the bottom of this. We go in low. It's hard to say, really. I just don't know. If you took that fail, I wouldn't be shocked if it comes and stops you out. Because everywhere you go, everywhere there's a potential setup, there's a potential trap. So let's say, for instance, I took that trade. What I'm trying to do as well is focus on areas where I leave trades alone. Do they work? Okay, so let's just mark that there. Let's say I decided to take that failure. Let's see if I'd have lost. I wouldn't have come out there for sure anyway. So, okay, so you wouldn't have got a point because I've put it below there. So you wouldn't have got a point out of there. Let's have a look. About there. No, it's out there again, isn't it? Let's have a look. So let's start from here. Okay, so you may have got a point out of that. May, but I doubt it. So let's see if you got stopped out. Okay, there's a possible lower high there. So wherever you get these trades, it seems that most of them get stopped out unless they're that beautiful. You know, they're that good. Let's have a look. So if you decided to take the failure in a downtrend, would it have worked? And I'm guessing there's no way that's gone up there that close to there, and it's not going to tick above there. All I'm doing, I just put that arrow because I'm not taking that trade, but I was just interested that there is a failure there. Now, it's finished bearish, but it's actually on the EMA. But it just seems that unless a trade isn't fantastic, it gets stopped out. Whereas a lot of the times, if you take a trade in a downtrend, you know, gravity sort of takes over. But there is a lower high there, so be interested to see if that works and takes that out or whether it does come down. So I just put there out of interest. If I would have taken the failure, it would have trapped me. Oh, there's a possible second entry short. Trouble is, there seems to be so, and it just does make you wonder. You know, they go on about, they're eating the stops, they're looking for the stops. Who are? The algorithms? Other traders? I don't fully understand it all, to be honest with you. I thought markets move with buyers and sellers, nothing more, nothing less. So what would the algorithms do? I don't quite understand it. Surely if that goes up there, it's because people are buying. Surely if it comes down, people are selling them. Okay, so that's with a doubt going to push above there. I wouldn't be shocked if that triggered for it. Okay, yeah. So if you took that trade, you're out of it. Okay, so one down. So let's say, for instance, you took the higher low. Let's say you took the higher low. It might push up because you might have a couple of legs, but just out of interest, let's see if that comes down and stops you out. Okay, same again, it's gone up to a point. Okay, so there's Yeah, you might be right, Jonathan, but you hear a lot of people saying, oh, they're after your stops, they're after your stops. I don't quite fully understand it. I thought if there's more buyers in the market than sellers, the price goes up. If there's more sellers, the price comes down. What's the algorithms for? Surely the algorithms just run it, don't they? Surely the algorithms don't think for themselves and win over traders. I don't fully understand it. I know you can have automated trading where you can set up these bots, and I know to a degree they'll follow maybe a certain strategy, but they're obviously not as good as traders. I mean, they've got the fact that they haven't got the psychological side, but obviously human beings need to adjust their thinking. Usually a computer will do what you tell it and it won't necessarily think for itself. So that obviously you've got the human factor there. But so look at that. So if you took that failure, triggered, stop you out. If you took that higher low, triggered, probably going to stop you out. It always seems to come down. Obviously it might not. It might be a failure. It might go up higher. But so many times it'll come down, and if there's two opportunities in there, there's a failure and there's a higher low. One's been stopped out. What's going to happen with the other one? I'll say, if you are ranging now with obstacles around, yeah, I get the fact that there's a range. Yeah, I do. You know, I understand that if there's a range, there's going to be a lot of traps. But do you know what I'm saying? Sometimes it just seems it doesn't matter what you do. If you took that failure, okay, so we've had this short-term trend, we've had a break, and we've had a new high. Now, at the moment, we seem to be downtrending. So push down, try to go once, try to go twice, failure. Now, Mac will still take trades above the EMA. I've seen him take short trades above the EMA. So you'd think, I mean, it's ranging now, but then it wasn't necessary. We had a push down, push down, push down. It wasn't necessarily ranging. So you might have taken that. Obviously, now we've got a few more here. Obviously, then we're going to go range, you know, but let's just see if this gets stopped out. I wouldn't be shocked if it does. So then any opportunities there? And we've had a bit of a push down, new low, higher low, which has come right down and it's rejected, pushed higher. So, you know, it is frustrating sometimes. I mean, our trades now have to be better than ever. There's not a lot of room for manoeuvre. And I know we've all heard the saying, the trend's your friend. But it does seem now that, you know, setups need to be extra, extra good. Okay, so it's clearly sort of working. So, you know, a lot of these, they might work out anyway, but. Okay, so look at this. Yeah, so you got a new low, try to go once, try to go twice. There's a failure there, which is triggered. So I'd be interested to see if that gets stopped and that gets stopped, which means there's been 3 traps there. So talking about with the algorithms, the rhythms, is that the market buying and selling? Because obviously there's nothing stopping the market buy and sell it. Obviously someone owns the market, whatever. There's nothing stopping that using an algorithm to say, okay, let's sell, because there's some stops there. Or let's buy, you know. Surely the algorithms are all part of the S&P. I don't quite know. Hey Chan, how you doing? Stops are where the liquidity is. If they want to go short, they need people to buy. They take up the stops first and they sell. Yeah. If you put bigger orders where there isn't much liquidity, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. I suppose the answer to that is that your trades need to be really good trades where they're going to attract a lot of, say, a long trade needs to be a good long setup. If it's a good setup and a really good solid setup, it's going to attract a lot of buyers, isn't it? And if it attracts a lot of buyers, it'll work and push up. If it's a weak setup, then obviously you're in the lap of the gods there to a degree, aren't you? So I think, you know, I've answered my own question, really, haven't I? Nice way to lay it out. Yeah. They just need to be a better setup, really, don't they? But sometimes sometimes where we get these breaks, it doesn't seem that long ago that you get a break, you'd push up to the EMA, Maybe 6-7 times out of 10, you get a nice second entry. It'd push above, come down sharply, and it'd push down nicely. And they seem to happen more than 50% of the time now, 20% of the time if you're lucky. And in some cases, it's a bit of a poor setup, and they'll go, like I mentioned, a little bit of sideways and a little bit down. And okay, so it did push up in the end. So if you took that one or the failure, it did work. But it's interesting to see. What I'm going to try and do is note the poor setups and just see how they work so I can understand a bit more about the market. But I mean, it's come back to here and it's clearly working slowly, isn't it? So common sense would say EMA is facing up. We're getting sort of higher lows. But I am aware the overall day, but it's only what you would call, I mean, I don't tend to use it much, but sort of bearish imbalance really, isn't it? We had that couple of legs down, and really it just went sideways. Then we've had another leg down. So, I don't know. So I'm trying to flick to the comments. I need to put the comments on the screen above me, really, I think. I've been trying to figure it out for 15 years. Yeah. It'd be nice to get into the head of Mac, wouldn't it? Just to see what he sees for a day. I mean, I'd say the more you look at these charts, common sense says it's like anything, isn't it? You're studying human behaviour, so what you really are is a form of a psychologist, really. You're learning psychology because you're learning about what people are thinking. I mean, we're getting up to these levels now, aren't we? So, you know, if I've got my chart like that, a lot of other people have got my chart like that. This is the area where it's touching. I mean, look at that. It came up here, touched, came down, came up here, came down, came up here, came down. Every time it comes up to the top, it comes down. So you would say this would operate the same way. So are you going to buy there? Probably not. You may wait for it to come down and buy it there, but at the top here, you're not really going to buy, are you? It's not an attractive place to buy. Are you going to sell? You're damn sight more likely going to sell. Would you sell on that bar? Well, in all honesty, it's not often you get a bar less than a point, 3/4 of a point there. So if you sold it right on the bottom and a tick above it, you're risking a point there. And if you took a point there and you rode it back to the EMA, you've risked a point from that life. You've literally made, you've risked one, and even if you took it there, you've risked one and made two. If you took it there. So, you know, we're almost at the top. Are you going to buy here? I wouldn't have thought so. Are you going to sell? Damn sort more rightly going to sell, aren't you? Now, I understand that there are bigger pictures here. But we are trading on a certain time frame, aren't we? But I know traders who would buy there. In fact, I saw Marco. There was an uptrend. It went right up to the top of the channel, and there was a bearish bar, and he sold it for 6 ticks. Now, not the type of trade you would associate with a, you know, going short in an uptrend. But if you think about it, right at the very top of an uptrend, a bearish bar, common sense said, why would you buy a bearish bar right at the top of a channel? You wouldn't. And if you're only taking 6 ticks, you know, 6 ticks is nothing really. But if you look, when it came back there, it came straight down, came back there, it came straight down. What pushed up a couple of times here, bearish. If you took that one, it came down, and look after that, pushed up, went to the top, came back down, and then dropped quickly. Same again, if you pushed up here, it came strongly down. So typically, the pattern is people give up buying. So what's the option? Do nothing or sell? Well, if you give up buying, the only person left really is you know, the shorts. So I suppose if you are scalping 6 ticks, it's not a bad place to take a short, is it really, when you think about it like that? fact, let's get rid of this. Let's see if we got something from Mac yet. Yes. See whether he's got this trend, mind you. I'm guessing he's got more of sideways. Sign in. Oh no, okay. Yeah, he has got. I thought he might have more sideways. He's got that. So stay there. Damn it. Where are you? So he's gone from that last touch before it drops to there. So the last touch before it drops, and then he's missed that first one. Okay. So he's gone the last touch to where it drops there. He's missed the first one and brought it down to here. Okay, see, that just that doesn't make sense to me. Does that make sense to you? He's got it like that. I don't know. See, really, you normally go for the first couple of swings. It's only actually touched once there. It's broke above it, broke above it, broke above it. That just doesn't make sense to me. If I take it as a spiking channel, doesn't that make much better? Touch, 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 touch. Makes perfect sense, that does. Not just that, it's all working quite nicely in this top section here. I don't know. What do you do? Do you do something that doesn't look right to you, or do you do what Max put? I don't know, Max just didn't look quite right to me for some reason. I mean, normally if you're going with a downtrend, you try and get the most touches. That's the whole idea. Okay, so we touch there, touch twice there, touched third time there, touched a couple of times there, touched a couple of times there. It's clearly resisted it there, isn't it? So to me, that's the top of a channel. Surely. Who knows? It's one of those days where I swear they hired a guy to sit there and wait for me. I feel your pain there, Andy. It does make you feel like that. Do you know what I think it is? You've just got to wait for a really good quality trade that's obvious, and then it'll move. And I've always said this. If I look back over my trades or other people's trades and I can clearly see they were a good trade, those where I said over 85% of the trades made 6 points or more. But they are the good trades. Now, some of the ones where you maybe got away with a skin of your teeth, not so much, you know, but I think the good trades, that highlighter, the good trades do work, and they work quite well. But at the moment, same again, not a huge amount of volume, and it's been the same for the last few days, since maybe Thursday, Friday. Excuse me. I suppose I know a lot of traders, they may sort of see this and jump in here and let him ride for the day, but maybe sort of come down in sections. But, I don't know. Yeah, see, Mac went from here to here. That didn't make any sense. It was only touching once, and that was above it, that was above it, and that was above it. And I don't want to diss Mac, but you know, I've been trading now for nearly 2 years, and I've got a pretty good feel for it. And if it doesn't feel right, I just can't bring myself to do it, if you know what I mean. Yeah, see, that looks okay. It's touching multiple times, and Mac has gone to here. Well, that, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it just doesn't look right to me. It's touching there. It's missing this next big swing. It's touching there. That's above it. That's above it. That's above it. It only really touches twice. And if it touches twice, the trend could be like that. It's as good as that. In fact, that might actually not be too bad, but I don't know. This just looks like it's 2 legs to me. So, in all honesty, this looks right to me, and I have to sort of go with what I feel looks right. You know, you would say it's where it touches the most. So, a bit of a spike. Clearly touches it a bunch of times there, a bunch of times there, there. It struggled there, so that tells me that's the top of the range. Okay, so there's a bearish bar. It's gone up there right to the nearest tick. Right to the nearest tick. One level. Yeah. 1 leg and then 2 legs. Now, we're just short here. If I wasn't up, I probably would. And I would say that would probably work. What's the risk? It's 1.75. So if you took it on there and a tick above it, I think it's an okay trade for 2 points. But I'm going to leave it because market's a bit unpredictable. And if I finish the day on $250, I'm happy. If I lose that now, I'll be frustrated. So I traded on yesterday. Now, chances are it'll work. 1 leg up. In fact, let's get it correct. Okay, it's a measured leg, isn't it? It hasn't triggered anyway. It hasn't touched it. 1 tick would be nicer, but we have got the open here, official open. So maybe it's going towards there, but 1 tick and we're on that. Close enough anyway, but sometimes these are that bloody accurate. It's uncanny. Okay, we're a tick up off it really, but it's close enough. Okay, so once, twice, 3 times it's pushed up and it's pulled back. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's any more likely to come down. Could be selling a pullback. Yeah, I'm just not getting involved at the moment because what I can tell you is the EMA's facing up. And I'm not a fan of running them back there. I want a good setup on the way somewhere, not at the end, you know, not at the end. It is, although it's made that measured leg, it's still really in the bit of a no man's land, isn't it? So, it you know, these work accurate, but it doesn't mean to say it's not going to push up some more. So, do nothing up do nothing up $250. Take a silly trade, 0. It's just not worth it, is it? I got to start getting a little bit more control in my trading and start making some better decisions. Otherwise, I'm going to be still flogging a dead horse for the next couple of years, and I don't want to. I've clearly got enough skills to be able to make money. I just need to have a little bit more self-control and start focus on it as a professional money-making business and not something I'm doing for a hobby. And I need to know when to leave alone. I should have done that yesterday, but I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I gave myself a talking to yesterday. So that's gone up and that's touched right at the open. Now, is that a good place to take a trade? It might work. It probably will work. But I wouldn't say it was a good place to take a trade. It's still in the middle of nowhere, although we have touched that. I would say maybe 60-70% of the time it will come down and make a couple of points. But 60% of the time is just over 50-50. So I'm leaving alone because I've seen that so many times. Now, if it had hit exactly the same place 3 times and done that, then I may be interested in running it back for a couple of points. But at the moment, I'm just not getting involved. I'd say it's 50-50. Maybe 60-40 it comes down, but that's not a good basis for a trade. In fact, it's not bad, actually. But a lot of traders will take 60%, but I'm not interested. Because I can tell you what I can say for 100%, I'm $250 up. And I can 100% finish the day on $250 up. Or I could take a silly risk and end up finishing the trade in the red. So that triggered, and now it's a couple of ticks away. Now, my experience is it doesn't push up that close without ticking above it. There you go. So I'd have lost that trade now. And a stupidity, impatience, and lack of professionalism. So what's that? That was 2 points. So tick above, tick below, I'd have been in the red. And to be honest with you, a long there really isn't a very attractive place to take a long, is it? But is it? Because obviously Mac has his down channel, although I would say I know a lot of traders that won't have that down channel. They'll have this like that. So if you look at that there, that's... You wouldn't think you need to have a downtrend there, would you? So, okay, so there's a couple of pushes down. It's gone a bit sideways, dropped out, had a break, hit the bottom, and now it's pushed back in. So it's looking more like a range day than it is a trending day. So if you take that, that's the trouble about me saying about you affect your bias if you jump in there too early. Now, if I had that there like that, yeah, what am I thinking straight away? Down, short. I take that all day. What am I thinking now? I'm not thinking anything, am I? I'm thinking long at the moment, short then, long at the moment, short there. So what's it doing? It's ranging with a bit of a break. I just plot on the chart like Lance does. One big leg down from overnight highs and a second leg down. Yeah. The trouble is, and I'm guilty of this, I'll be honest there, I'm guilty of doing this, constantly looking for channels. Now, what you could say is, yeah, it was coming down roughly there, but is this a downtrending market? Not really. We've had our downtrends, but we've had one push up, two push up. We've had one push down, two push down, one push down, two push up, and then a load of shorts. A load of sideways, and then we've had one push down. And this push up is engulfing that, isn't it? So we're not really in a downtrending day. That's why I tend to, that's why I like streaming, because I get to talk through my thoughts. And sometimes as I'm talking, the answers just pop into my head. I've just answered them. So clearly, I think you're better off not having that, because that tells you short, we're going down, when if that tells us actually we're ranging. So I need to be going long when we're going up and going short when we're going down. So let me just zoom in here. I can straighten this. So look, let's put that there, move that up a tiny touch, nice and close. Where are we? Oh, piss off. There, like that, and touch beautifully there, touch beautifully there. So at the moment it's clearly fitting nicely within there. We had that push over, a little bit of sidewards, bounced off the side and then pushed up again in this sort of this lower part of the channel. Now we've pushed up and whatever we're going to do. But so taking away that down channel, and in all honesty, you just mentioned this. Was that you, Harmony? Was it? What we've really had there is a couple of legs down. I'd say one leg there and another leg there. Look at that. Yeah, okay. I don't know why I didn't really notice that. So we've had that push down. We've had a nice correction. And we've come down again. And we are, what, maybe 3, 4 ticks, a few ticks away. Probably even take that down a bit. So look. Yeah, we're a few ticks away from bottom there, aren't we? So all that really is one leg of correction. and another leg. And then we're pushing back up. More whipsaw coming, yeah. To be honest with you, who am I talking to there? Jonathan, to be honest with you, mate, the good thing about getting in a trade and getting in relatively soon is the day doesn't feel so stressful then. When you haven't got a trade and you're looking to make money, you're focusing that hard on finding somewhere, and it takes it out of you. There's a little bit of stress involved. Whereas if you take your points early, straight away, it's taken that pressure off, so I don't have to find something. If I go away without any more trades, I'm the equivalent of $1,250 a week up on one account, which is a great amount. You times that by 10 or whatever. So it's kind of nice to get a trade out the way. All I need to do is focus and not, excuse my French, but fucking it up and wasting it. So, yeah, to me, that looks like 2 legs down. I'm not really thinking about going down and short it anymore. Sorry, Angela, if I've offended you there using the F word, sorry. I don't often. I say that for the pub with the lads. Sometimes it's got to be said, though, I got to say. And when it comes to trading, I think it's a suitable word sometime. Trading can bring the worst out you, can't it, really? Yeah, so what I think I might do, I'm trying to monitor how I feel after the 2-hour mark, because I noticed all the other streamers finish a lot sooner than me. The Gorilla guy tends to do about an hour and a half. Panda guy tends to do about the same. The Moo Moo guy finishes earlier than me. I think most do. Now, to be honest with you, if you said to me, is 3 hours a long day for trading, I'd say no, it's not, but it's surprising. It's quite stressful. It's quite stressful scalping because it's quite fast moving and it's quite intense. I don't suppose it's everyone's cup of tea. So I think you would naturally not, have a typical. Because when I heard about trading, I heard stories about working 10, 12 hours a day, looking at screens and looking at charts, and it could have been further from the truth. Now, maybe that's not the same if you're trading, other forms of trading. Maybe you do put more hours in, but I mean, as far as hard work and lots of hours, you could have been further from the truth with this style of trading. Most traders tend to finish by about the 2-hour mark. Now, if you haven't got a trade, some just finish, but I tend to try and get something if I can. But there you go. So yeah, I'm going to start monitoring how I feel at around the 2-hour mark. And do you have a PA count? I've got 1 starting tomorrow. And hopefully 4 in the next few days, 4 more, so 5. I have had them before, a few of them. Have made money before. Not a lot, but I'm still. I think you struggle like mad on the evaluations, and then you get to grips with the evaluations and they don't stress you so much. And then when you go on to PAs, you get a slightly different level of stress, and then you blow a bunch of them and you get used to the stress a bit. And it's all part of the journey. Up, down, up, down, up, down, and sooner or later you start to flow. I'm not there yet, but the plan is to trade these a little different. So I'll have 5 accounts. Account number 1, I'll trade with my normal 2 contracts. And account 2, 3, and 4 and 5, I'll reduce them down to 1 contract and trade them on alternate days. So 2 and 3 I'll trade on one day, and 3 and 4 and 5 on the other day. And account number 1 with a slightly higher risk, I'll trade both days along with the other 2. So that's the plan. So if that one goes to rat shit, I've still got the other 2, which I've got reduced contract sizes down to 1. So hopefully that will lower my stress levels a bit, because it's something I've always avoided. I've always liked the two contract. The trouble is that allows you 6 to 7 trades and your account's gone. So it stands to reason that if you reduce by half down to one contract, you need to lose 13 or 14 trades in a row to blow that. And if you're losing 13 or 14 trades in a row, you're clearly not been trading long and you're clearly struggling. So that's the new plan. Lots of people have said everywhere I've studied and read, people say everyone trades too much risk, adds too much pressure, and no room for error, or very little room for error. Whereas if it's just something I've always avoided, probably out of greed. I think greed is a big contributor of failing accounts from a lot of traders, and I think if I'm honest, I'm guilty of that. I always try and run before I can walk. But that, yeah, Andy, that's the beauty of having the trade copier. So, I can trade 2 contracts on the one, and then the other 2 accounts, I can just trade 1 contract and then alternate them. So, and what I'll do is if I lose a trade, I'll go on to the others. So if I lose again, all I've really done is lost 1 trade on each account. So I haven't had that big a lump sum. I forget what it is. What was I saying? Yeah, it's a bit of scientific term or a gambling term, I forget. But basically, it's risk too high. Yeah. Trouble is, Jonathan, it stands to reason, doesn't it? If you're risking twice as much, there's bound to be more stress, isn't there? Whereas if you take your risk, and I'm used to 2 contracts, so if I reduce that down to 1 contract, I should hopefully feel a little bit less pressure, and that should sort of hopefully steer me in the right direction a little bit better. Sam, there is a cost to trade copy. Yeah, they're both $150. Apexes and Replicanto. Replicanto is better. I've had 2 or 3 updates already this month, and if you do decide to use Replicanto, I've got a 10% off code for you there. So that obviously will take it down a little touch. It's about $15 or something, but if you are going to take one, whether you use my code or not, that's up to you. And I do get a little kickback. I think I make about $15 off it. It's not a huge amount, but it doesn't cost you any more, and it saves you $10. But whether you use that or not, if you are going to do one, my honest advice is get the Replicanto one. I've had, and I'll show you now, I've had 2 in the last week. Let me have a look. I've had 2. Let me just show you the one. So you know. Yeah. There's my email there. There it is. I've had another one this morning. I only had one in the last 3 or 4 days. I think I mentioned it. So this is the 2nd update in a week. I think it's the 3rd one this month. I've never had an update for Apexes, so I'd 100% use. And I'm not saying that because I get a little kickback up. I'm honest there. Whether you use it or not, that's it's up to you. But you get updates with it, and that says to me the software is constantly monitored for bugs, any issues. You don't get that with Apex, and you'll get it 10% cheaper than Apex 135. So with that code, so my honest opinion is go for the Replicanto one. You're future-proofing yourself because they do, obviously, as I said, get updates, and Apex doesn't. There is a bunch of other bits of software. I've not looked too much, but I know they do. But I mean, they're a software company. They're a software firm. They specialise in trading software. So it stands to reason you're going to get a better quality, less problematic piece of software. But I do like the fact, although it's a bit of a pain in the ass, having to open it, save it, drag it, drop it. It's by the by. I'd much rather have a safer product. Yeah, see. If you'd have drawn that now we got this, we're clearly not downtrending, are we? All we're doing really is we're going sideways with the exception of a little bit of a breakout, but then we push back in strongly. What's that? 80. Yeah, it's nearly a 30-point move. That is straight. You know, pretty much straight up in the last sort of hour and a bit, hour. Trouble is, you can't go short up here anywhere, can you? You got to wait for it to come back. Yeah, that just looked like a couple of legs to me now. It's amazing when a bit of time goes by, it starts to explain itself, doesn't it? Yeah, now that knowing that come down, obviously there was a bit of luck that I managed to get, but the plan was only to take it up towards EMA to get 2 points. I didn't plan on getting up to the top, but obviously clearly it's going from the top to bottom. So you wouldn't necessarily know we were going to push in and then tank out the bottom anyway. You wouldn't have known that. And that's the beauty sometimes when you get these choppy markets. I think it's much better to go for a lower win rate, and I think you've got a lot more chance because even with that one, you'd expect that one to reach the top, but it didn't. And as much as a nice trade that was, it was clearly a triple test off here, sitting beautifully. And it only went up. It went up to 4 points, so it wasn't that bad, but still not a massive room, is it? If you didn't manage to get in straight away. Okay, so yeah, nice channel, to be honest with you. Quick push up, sideways, and then we're working in this lower section, and then we had a strong push up. Now we're working in this top, so it's sort of working in a two-tiered channel, really, isn't it? So, and I'm aware of two-tiered channels because I took a long in a bigger channel than this, let it ride up to 5 points, let it come back because I wanted to try and get a bit more, and then it came back to the lower section of a two-tiered channel and stopped me out. But it's all about learning, isn't it? Okay, so we got this new high, lower high, risky, but I'd expect it to come back to the EMA, so you may get a point out of it, but it's counter trend trading at the moment, really, in all honesty. I mean, it might not even get into this section, so it might just push up. It looks like it's going to. Would you take a long there? Risky. It's a little bit congested. It may tick you and then come down and then start working in this section. I wouldn't be shocked because there is a big bearish bar there and there is another big bearish bar there with a lower high. So there is probably going to be some shorts in there for a point. So if you went long there, I wouldn't be shocked if it ticked, stopped you out and then pushed up some more or came down into this section. But let's see what happened. Let's put a tick there just to see what happened. But this is the type of trade I'm on about. Okay, it's not that bullish anyway, but this is the type of trade I'm on about. I tend to mark these now where they're slightly riskier trades. And more often than not, they'll trigger you and stop you out. So it just goes to show the quality of trades need to be good. Now, there we go. It didn't trigger any, but that might be a little bit more bullish on someone else's chart. Okay, so if you can work back to this section and then start pushing, then I'm quite happy to go long again. I don't think there's anything that's going to stop me. What I do like is the fact that it can bounce off this, the tops of this. Let me just check that there's no sort of, no, it's not. I'm not going to take a trade anyway unless it's an absolute golden opportunity. I don't want the same result in yesterday, but it's clearly a channel. No argument there. No question. It's clearly a quick push up, load of sideways, right back to here. Moved in this section, couple of strong pushes up, moved in the top section, and it looks like it's working down. So whether it'll be quite nice actually to bounce off here. So there is a possible second entry, but I would much rather wait for a higher low. I want to give the opportunity to trap. But we've clearly worked down here, so whether we have a break here and a push higher, or whether we start working in this section, second entry long off the EMA. Yeah, there wasn't an option anyway, but we have had, there is a first entry, so it depends on this finish, but I am aware that that could be a bit of a channel there, and I think you've got to be a little bit cautious just in case. I'll take it away, but it's going to be a bit hard to see, but I'd rather give it time. So you got first entry there. I'd rather let it trigger. Okay, so second entry. So if this comes down here, see, and it breaks below there, it's triggered the fail second entry long, and if I take a long here, it might come up, trigger me, and come back down, and maybe bounce off this or something. I don't know, but you've got to be so careful. I used to get trapped here a lot. I don't so much now because I understand what's going on. I'd rather let the trap a chance to play out. So try to go once, try to twice. Failure possibly. Let's see if that triggers. If it triggers, and then by a tick and pushes up, it's not a terrible place to take a long. It's just a higher low then. Okay, try go once, try go twice. Failure. Let's see if it triggers. One tick down, trigger. If it pushes up, nice and polished, and that's a higher low. How comfortable do I feel? It hasn't triggered anyway, but it hasn't triggered, so it could cut. I like to let it trigger first. To be fair, it's just getting a little bit scary, so I'm probably going to sit this one out, I think. I'd preferred that. Fairly, mind you, not many people will be going short here, will they? Surely. It's tempting to go long here, but I don't like it when it does this. A little bit up and down. It's a little bit barbed wiry. I think it's much safer to wait. If it pushes up a bit more and gives you another option, then I just think it's a bit risky, personally. Would I think it's going to go up? I'd say so, yeah. But I don't feel really comfortable with taking it, put it that way. It doesn't look like it's going to work anyway, so. Okay, so. Gone quite bearish, relatively bearish. I prefer that to trigger. If it triggers below here and pushes up above them, then I'd say, yeah, then we may go higher. But at the moment, we're still in the channel. I'd much prefer it to trigger. It's definitely a reason for shorting. Yeah, it's always possible. You just don't know. I mean, we have sort of been here before, so whether you know, this is turned and come back down. Trouble is they do trap people, so this could trap some longs here and then come back down. You just don't know. It is a bit congested there, so I don't like it. I'd say it's more likely to go up, but I think it's a lot more riskier. And it's always the times where you leave it alone and it pushes up and you wish you'd have gone in. Next time you jump in and you get shafted. So this could be a leg, break leg. You just don't know. This might be an area because at some point this channel's going to break, and you don't want it to break when it's just triggered you. Because we could have leg, come down, bounce off here. We've had a break, push up, make a new high. So it's going in the direction you wanted it to, but I wouldn't be shocked if that came down because it's a bit congested. Let's put a little mark there just to see what it would have done. Might be okay. But it's not a second entry. There's the second entry. So the engulfing for 1 point. Yeah, if you're going for a point, it's not such a terrible thing. But look at that. My arse will be twitching like a good one now. I hate trade. That's why I left it alone, because it just doesn't feel right. Now, it might trigger the shorts and rock it up. It might trap some shorts, but I don't know. It's got to break at some point Now, this to me, we've nearly touched these previous highs. So this to me could well do that. Pushes below the open, touches here and pushes up. If you're hitting here now, your arse will be twitching. That's why I hate getting into trades that I don't feel right. And the more you experience sitting, not just that, it's a little bit congested. The more you experience sitting in here, you'll just know when something doesn't feel right. And when you get that feeling, much better to just stay out. I know it's hard sometimes, but so that might trap some shorts. It might push out. It still might work. But I don't like it, and I'd rather not be in a trade like this. So you still might take that. I still don't like it. We've pulled back to the EMA, we've pushed up in a higher low, but I don't know, something I don't like about it. And I'm quite, a lot of people say, oh yeah, but you're frightened to pull the trigger. That's a good thing for me, because my issue is getting a bit too keen on pulling the trigger. I have way more of a problem holding myself from stopping pulling the trigger than the other way around. So if I get a bit cautious, that's a good thing for me. See, this could be down here. It could be a second entry short. Still could get another leg down here. If we get above here, and indeed here, then I'd expect to make a new high, but I don't like it. I don't think it's a bad trade, actually. I mean, it's clearly off the key entry point, isn't it? In a lot of cases they work, but I don't know. If something doesn't feel right, I think you're best off staying out. That was definitely the better trade, but this one, risky. But I don't know. If something doesn't feel right, I'm much happier staying out of it. See, I'm still not happy. Once it gets above here, then I think we're okay then, but I'm still not happy that it's coming back. And a lot of the cases, if it's not a great setup, they can take their time, and I just don't like it. Okay, so I think you're all right now. Small risk stop, yeah. It's the ATR. ATR's come down, so it's not massive risk, but it's just not push. I like to get in and out if I can, really. The longer I'm in a trade, the more sick I feel. But it's just not pushing up as nice as I hoped. See, it could be a second entry short. As I say, at some point it's got to break. Or it could be a failure. Failed second entry short. Are we still going up? I think so, but I don't like that bar. Let's have a look. There's there. Okay, funny that, look. Yeah, I mean, if you took that, if you get stopped out, a little bit unlucky, I'd say it's probably going to work. It's not a terrible trade. It just doesn't feel right to me. I just don't get that comfortable feeling. Now, if that bar was sat right on top of the EMA and we didn't have this little bit, I wouldn't feel so bad. But I'd say you're okay to the top. But I just something about it I don't like. We could have a leg and a leg. If I was in this trade now, I would be saying to myself, why did you take it? You didn't feel right. Okay, so you'd have got a 1.25, depending on what you were going for, but you wouldn't have got 6 ticks. So we've it's sort of sideways, isn't it? But it could also as well, and a lot of the times I tend to miss this. Look at that. No argument there. There's some sideways. Touched 3 times there. Touched, touched, touched. Touched, touched. Oh, look at that. Gone up, bounced, touch, come back down. Now, it might still work it out, but you've got to ask yourself the question, is this a range? There you go. So if you took that there, you've just been stopped out. Well, that's why I left it. It just didn't feel right, and I've just listened to me myself. So if you took something in there as well, you've been stopped out again. So the decision I made was the right decision, because I said it doesn't look right, it doesn't feel right, and we could have 2 legs, and we've done exactly that. I said we're likely going to come down here and touch on here, which we've done exactly. So it just goes to show all these days and hundreds of hours I've sat watching these charts. I know, I'm confident I know these areas that don't feel right. And I'm glad, because I'd have had my take profit up here, and it's done exactly what I thought, or said it could do. It looks to me an area where it's going to do that, and what better area when things aren't very clear, because I just don't like this area here. And then it pushed up. Then it had this bearish bar, which I didn't like. And then we had this one, but it's just something about it I don't like. It's not clean, what I would call clean cut. And in a lot of the cases, we do come down. We have two legs, don't we? And then we'll push up again. I still think it's likely to carry on up. So I made the right. And every time I make a decision because something doesn't feel right when they would have failed, it just builds my confidence just to say that I am clearly paying attention. I am learning. What are you saying? Back to 4080. I'd say after this, I still expect a new high because we've had a nice channel. In a lot of cases, we do. Now, if this was the high of the day, then I'd say maybe not. But we have been higher, so who knows? Could come down, could go up. I'm just glad I listened to my inner voice, because if I'd have taken that trade, I'd have been kicking myself now thinking I was up 250 and now I'm in the red. If we had two beautiful legs down, clear, crystal clear, with a beautiful big bullish bar and 5 points to the top, I'd jump in there without any hesitation. But it just didn't feel right. So it is. There's clearly, I mean, look at that. It's like barbed wire right along the middle there, and now it's bouncing again. So we could push up. I got no idea, to be honest with you. I'd say, most of the time when we have a break, we have a new high. And I'm going off here right to the next swing. It's clearly touching a bunch of times, and it fits beautifully along the back. So I've got no doubts that's a channel. Now, when we have a break of a channel, we usually make a new high. Now, it doesn't always, and the days where it doesn't always are the days where we're ranging. I mean, if we've been a downtrend all day, they almost always work, especially the short-term ones. But when we're clearly going sideways, it doesn't always work, and we have been up close to this high. So, and then we had that bearish bar, so there might have been some shorts there selling off. But I'd say more. I don't know. Certainly, I think it's more likely to push up. I don't know whether it's 70% or 80 or 60. I got no idea. But we've had a couple of legs. One leg was a little bit bigger. But we'll see. I'm certainly not. I think it's going to go up, but I'm certainly not going to come a bet on it because I'm not that confident. So let's get rid of that. So just the one trade for me. I'm happy about that. I thought the trade was okay. Now, we didn't know at the time it was going to be coming down, but clearly going sideways. You buy the lows and sell the tops. Came down, bounced off, came down, bounced off at a break. Two legs down, pulled in now. It only went in about, 2.35 points, but 2.75 points. But I got my points, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, in hindsight, it came back up and came down. But we didn't know this. It could have just pushed up back to the top. Who knows? But at the time, it wasn't a terrible trade. It was an okay trade, I think. Certainly back to the EMA. Okay, it looks like we are working our way up. Whether we get up here or not, but I think I certainly expect it to make a high from this channel. Having said that, we have been a little bit sideways there, so it could just push back in. But it's close enough for it to push up a little bit. Usually when we have a break, we have a new high, so I did mention it may happen, and we're likely to come down to around this, and it did the same. So it just goes to show I'm paying attention and I'm learning. I'm noticing patterns and when things don't feel right, and I'm paying attention. And the more you do it, this is almost like learning to drive, isn't it? You try breaking with your opposite leg. It's near on damn impossible. So it just goes to show you fine-tune that right leg of yours, or wherever you are, if you're in the States, using I've tried it sometimes, breaking with the opposite leg. You try it, you'll come to a stop really, really quickly. So it's just fine-tuning that memory, isn't it? Seeing areas that don't look right, and at some point these channels have to break. They can't keep going on forever. So where would you break? There's a bit of a channel there, and a little bit of sideways. It's a little bit of uncertainty, so that's why I mentioned it may do that, and it did. So if you pay attention enough and you spend enough time looking at the charts, you'll start to notice when things happen, and that'll eventually make you into a better trader, or I hope it will. So one leg, a little bit of sideways, another leg. I expect another leg up, which should take us to the top's new high, I'd say. Close enough. Clever breaking. Yeah, if you've ever tried it, it's quite funny actually. Try it. I know you guys over in the UK, we break with your right. Is that right? Yeah, we break with the right. I'm assuming you guys see your steering wheel's on the wrong side of the car, but are your pedals the same? I can't remember. Try breaking with your opposite foot anyway if you've never done it. It's quite funny. You get a little bit of a shock. You don't realise how finely tuned that foot is. I mean, you can slam that foot on, can't you? And you've still got a load of control. If you pick it up quick and ram it on, it's still a finely tuned instrument. But you try doing it with your other leg, it just goes to show, doesn't it? How long I've been trading? I might knock it on the head actually in 10 minutes. I wanted to try and bring my 3 hours down to about 2. Because I do find once I get close to 3 hours, sometimes I can feel myself trying to force a trade. Well, that obviously depends on whether you're actually up or you're down, but I'm pleased. So yesterday was quite a good exercise for me, actually. I took 2 trades, got $450 up. Took a lower high, which in my opinion looked like a nice trade. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken it when I was 450 up. And I noticed 3 of the other streamers all took the same trade, so it was clearly one that caught people out. Now, that was okay, but shortly after, I took another trade really quickly and lost that. So I was pretty frustrated with myself. Now, in most cases, I would either finish the stream and carry on trading straight away and go silly, or it would play on my mind and I would come back in an hour and 2 and do it again. And when I come back in an hour or 2 and I think we're going to here, I'll just click the buy button. There wouldn't be many planning. I was just saying it looks like it's going up and I click the buy button. And in a lot of cases, I click it 5 times and go for the 10 contracts and scrappily take a few points because I'd lose control. Now, I wouldn't do it on the 2 accounts that are passed or close to passing, but the others I probably would have done because I'd have it in the back of my head that I'm frustrated and they're only $17 at the moment, and I can do another one. The trouble is you can't keep doing that forever, and sometimes you've got to realise you've got to stop doing that. Yeah, they're cheap, and yeah, they're easy to pass and fail if you blow a count. That's an extra $17. It's nothing really, but you can't just keep doing that. At some point, you have to just accept the fact that there's only really one way to trade. You just have to sit there and wait for a setup. You can't revenge trade and that. But I think really to understand it, you've got to go through it. But I seem to be finally getting a little bit more control. So I was pleased about that. So as desperate as I wanted to get back on the chart and get You know, strangely enough, I wasn't actually down. I've been there too. Yeah, it's terrible, Toad, isn't it? It's a terrible feeling when you do that. And then what happens? You jump in, and when you take the trades and you're in a trade, you feel physically sick. And your hair's standing on end, and you're nervous, and it's just a horrible feeling. And I would say maybe 2 or 3 times in 10 it works and you make a bit of money, but the other 7 times you'll blow your account and you'll sit there open mouthed thinking, what the fuck have I done? But at some point, you've got to realise you can't just keep throwing things away, because all you're doing is burning up precious time in your life. So hopefully, I may start to be turning a corner. But I did have that enough control last night to just go, just forget it. Just forget it. It's not worth it. And it worked. All the best. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Horrible year. It is. It's a shit feeling, isn't it? When you're stuck in a trade and you know, hold on a second. Excuse me a second. Sorry, door got in. But yeah, it's a horrible feeling, and I'm fed up of spending my time 1 out of 2 times. Yeah, that's it. But even then, even when it works, you still know you haven't done it properly, and you've just relied on luck. But it is a horrible feeling, and I've blown dozens and dozens of accounts like that. And it's a horrible feeling, and I'm fed up of feeling like that. I don't mind losing a trade if I believe it to be a good trade, but trading on tilt, just jumping in randomly, I'd hit 10 contracts. In fact, if you're looking here, I've got a 5 contract one. Sometimes I'll just hit that twice. If I think it's the top, I might just hit it twice, and then just rely on a bit of luck to get down 2 or 3 ticks. But at some point, you have to stop, because it just does not work. So finally, I managed to, for the first time in a long time, stop myself going back. You know, and you know, like I've used before, sometimes you've got to bang your head against a wall enough times to know that you bleed, and that's the only outcome. You just can't get away with it. And like I say, it might work 2 times in 10, but you can't trade based on winning 20% of the time, can you? So on that note, I think I'm going to knock on the head for the day. I'm up a nice $250 at the moment. I got 5 accounts, so if they were all PA accounts, that'd be $1,250 for the day, which would be superb. And really, that is some serious money just from a simple trade, but waiting for the right one. But yeah, a little bit of luck involved in there. But to be honest with you, we're clearly going sideways. Most breakouts fail, and we take them when that happens. And that was clearly a short-term trend channel. We got a break in a new low, and it finished in the top third, so it was good enough for 2.75 points. But there you go. If I'd have been riding it to the top, then no. But in a lot of cases now, I'm reducing my profit, especially in areas like this where you've got like 5 points from top to bottom. You just can't afford to sit and wait for 3, 4, 5 points. So that's it for today, folks. So I appreciate all your comments. Nice to chat with people and get to know people. And then you realise we're all at the same pain and suffering. So that's it. So I will be back here. In fact, I've got one account, which is day 7 today. And I took a just 1 point micro. So that one will be going into a PA tomorrow. Thanks, Angela. You have a lovely day too. It's obviously a bit early for you, isn't it? What is it, lunchtime? Yeah, it's 10 to 5 here in the UK, so it's going to be my tea time. So good evening to you, Grog Daddy. But yeah, I appreciate all your comments, and I hope you've had a trade or two today and made a little bit of money. But if anything, we've learned something every day. Very good. Thanks, mate. 10 change. I appreciate that. It's just my trip, really, my journey. Sometimes it's good to see other people going through it, because it makes you feel a bit better when you know other people mess up as well. Sometimes you think it's just you. I've done way over 100 evaluations, and I thought I must have been more than anybody, but I know a guy who's made well over 200, so almost noon, is it? Yeah, you got the rest of the day there, haven't you? So So there you go. I appreciate it. You know, if you enjoy the channel, I appreciate it. Helps me, and if it helps you guys as well, gives you a little bit of company, then it's win-win, isn't it? So there you go. So don't forget, there is still 90% off Apex. I believe it finishes on where's the first Monday? I think, is that Monday? Yeah, finishes on Monday. So that's still available at the moment. If you have used my code, I do get a kickback from it, so I appreciate it. So there you go. So that'll be it till tomorrow. So we'll be back and we'll do it all again. So one trade today, and I'm pleased with that. In current climate, one good trade a day, I think, is a nice and positive. So there you go. So that's it. Have a great evening or afternoon wherever you are. Stay safe, and we will talk again tomorrow.